everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with our two Pence. This is our talk show-esque segment of this channel where we take a pressing topic in the world of TV or movies, and we simply talk about it. And we have an amazing topic to talk about today because everyone has been talking about it over the last week. But before we get to that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And my name is Cameron. Well, I guess sun is the best form of vitamin D, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
What are other forms of vitamin D? Name them right now. Um,
Lewis, go ahead, boy. or for some other people, Krypto.
I'm I'm Phil. Here comes the sun, Corwin.
Oh, that's right. We are clearly aligned, just like the
Full
Fortress
focus
of
of them.
Solitude was in this video to get a little bit of extra raise into good old Kal-El. So, of course, if you haven't guessed it by now, but of course you would have based on the title of this video, we are here to give our thoughts and reactions to the Superman sneak peek that came out earlier on this week. Obviously, Comic-Con happened this past week, and one of the clips that was shown and presented at Comic-Con during the Warner Brothers panel was obviously, this sneak peek at Superman. I think they got to see a couple extra things as well, it looked like. From what I heard, they saw another scene regarding involving Krypto. However, we obviously got this 5 minute sneak peek. Well, the world got it, which was essentially the first 2 minutes is a new scene. That is an actual scene that we hadn't seen. We've seen a glimpse of in the first trailer. And then the other half of this, sneak peek is essentially the trailer, but just broken down a little bit differently. So initial thoughts. Initial thoughts. What is it? One thing I do want to say, because we covered the trailer here when it
Yeah.
released, right? We gave our live, like in the moment reaction to it. This is clear. One thing I do want to say before we get into this is that Superman is clearly being presented, built, and marketed as a movie that's important. And I appreciate that because I think that I feel like for me as a film fan, especially in geek culture, there's been a few times, or there is genuinely only really a few times where there's a movie coming out, especially in geek culture or the superhero space, where it feels like an event. It feels like crap. I actually can't wait to go and see this movie, and the
Mm.
anticipation is building. And I feel like James Gunn has done a really good job at presenting this and building this as a movie that is important, but is also must see. And so I think that does reflect now and then when we get these trailers or like hear these sneak peeks, where I was seeing the views for the sneak peek the other day and like skyrocketing, where people are just intrigued. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel like at least in the build up to the movie and release day, that will be a good thing. But we'll get onto that in a little bit later. So, in regards to the sneak peek, what did you think?
We had a discussion about this. Well, a talk about this. Um, I'm not sure I liked the take on crypto. I I'm a bit worried about the tone now, especially in this scene. Obviously, I don't know what the context is, but I can't imagine a way this works in that context. Because it's like Superman is hurt, and it starts off, and we've seen this from the trailer as well. It starts off as this really, really severe scene where he's crashing to the ground, he's bleeding, he's like wheezing, like breath barely coming out of his lungs. Um, and I'm guessing we're supposed to be worried for him, right? This is a tense situation, and then this dog comes along and like hops around like on top of him, and it's like, dude, chill. I know you're a dog, but chill. This is a serious moment. So I don't know what the thought behind that is.
One thing I'll pick up with what you just said, like in terms of your reaction to when Krypto comes in and he pounces on Soups and you hear another bone break and he bites his foot and whatnot. Like your reaction there in terms of dude, chill. I think that's a reasonable reaction, and I don't actually think that that's not a reaction that wouldn't be welcomed by, say, a James Gunn or those involved. Because I think the sense was it to a degree, like especially from obviously I've never owned a dog in my life, but I've been around dogs to some degree, and I kind of got to know more about with their behavior. And Krypto, if we're just looking at this as a regular dog, right? Um, if you are on the ground as a human being, laying on the ground, or you're laying on your couch and you are quite knackered and beaten up, it is quite, I'm going to get onto this, but it is quite normal for a dog to
Yeah.
come and not really understand what's going on and just want to play. And there are multiple stories I've heard of people with dogs who are like that.
Mm.
You then flip that, and when I say flip that, you're dealing with not just any dog, you're dealing with a Kryptonian superpowered dog. I think that it is to me believable, or for me, I was willing to believe that this dog comes into the scene, especially where James Gunn has talked about how the your expectations for Krypto aren't what you think. Your expectations for their relationship aren't what you think. I think to me it made sense, knowing that you have this dog who is very used to his owner probably getting into big battles and getting his ass kicked and having these experiences, that Krypto would come on in and think, well, it's time to play. I'm putting my needs first, because not only am I a dog, but I'm a Kryptonian dog. So not only do I not have too much brains, I definitely don't have too much brains. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that worked for me. I really liked it, and it really got me, that scene. I really enjoyed it, especially when Krypto realizes what's up, and especially some dogs as well. I don't want to make this a dog conversation, but some dogs, they do know they're pushing their luck. They are trying to push their luck
Mm.
intentionally, and they know they're not meant to be doing what's actually happening now. But they continue taking the piss until they really are. It really is known to them that, okay, I've taken it too far. And I personally kind of got that, especially where, like, after a while, he's like, okay, crap, okay, let me get serious. He wants me to take him to the fortress. I'm gonna pick him up, and I love how the music swells in, and then he takes him. I bought that, personally speaking. I bought that, and I will talk about another scene that was mentioned at Comic Con that might add a bit of clarity to this as well. But go ahead.
Can I jump on the fact that we find out that Cameron doesn't like dogs here?
I do. I do like dogs.
Um, but I get what you mean, but the I think the thing that mattered in what you were saying is, yes, they do that because they're quite excitable, right? And this is more like a dog trying to go for walkies or something like that. But you said when you're lying on the couch or when you're in bed, in the morning, like feed me, feed me. But this is his owner is hurt. Like there's blood, and he should be able to sense that, sense that in some way, right? Smell blood and like
We need to call the dog scientist. I think we need to speak to like a dog therapist now. My God.
and next time on No Drama, Just Movies, chat with a dog therapist. Um, but you know what I mean? Like this is not the right situation for a dog to be like that, to behave like that. They should be or should be smart enough to pick up that something is wrong, or that dog is just a complete idiot. In which
But
case,
that's the thing. It does vary with dogs. It actually does vary with dogs. That's why I just say, but I do get where you're coming from. I do. I think I just really enjoyed the scene. Do you know what I mean? And I think one thing I have noticed here is that Krypto is going to be, I think, a huge selling part of this movie. I think it is going to get a lot of people in the door, or at least more excited to walk into the door. I think there are going to be people that are not happy with it. I remember seeing Joe Rogan and his friends react to the initial trailer of Superman and seeing the dog. They was like, why the F is there a dog with Superman? Obviously, they're not used to Krypto. And I don't think a lot
yeah.
of people are. But, I think it is going to be interesting to see what the reaction is going to be in time, come time. Another added context to this is that so I was listening to some breakdowns of the CinemaCon footage, and what was explained on this was on John Campion's YouTube channel, that he said that one of the scenes they watched was Superman, I think later on, I think once he's a bit healed up, going back to the Fortress of Solitude, or this might be later or beforehand, and he had essentially left Krypto in the fortress with all the robots, and Krypto has made an absolute mess of the Fortress of Solitude, and the robots are like, we couldn't control him. Like he's basically doing his own thing. And then that was then added with a scene when after Superman has been healed, he's about to leave the fortress, and then Krypto starts whimpering and crying because his owner's leaving and he misses him. And so obviously,
Oh,
I'm not. We're not seeing the context of these scenes. We're not seeing it in person,
yeah.
but it seemed to really um, hit home with the audience there. But once again, I think the dog thing does help. But to talk more about this scene, I loved it. I
Yeah.
really loved it. Like I am once again, I'm really getting this feeling that I only feel with certain, specifically comic book movies, where it's like this feels like a big one. Like this feels like a I need to be there opening day. I can't wait. I need to be there immediately to see it. Like this feels like that. It feels like it, and that's important. I think that the scene looked cool. I mean, it was nice. I'm a fan of Man of Steel. I know a lot of people aren't, but it's nice to see this new, different vision and take on Superman that's very colorful and very James Gunn and very comic booky. I really enjoyed the rotating, we spoke of the rotating Fortress of Solitude.
Yes.
Was really cool.
Coming
My
out
only,
of the ground as well, which was a nice, quite a
yeah,
touch
so
that like
awesome.
hidden. Um,
Yeah,
I'm guessing under the ground because somehow the robots are still there.
exactly. My only criticism of the scene is that the VFX looks like it needs a bit of
Oh,
work. It doesn't look
it's
finished to me.
still
Uh,
fairly early, so it could
yeah,
be like a let's get the scene out and not unfinished, although not completely finished. Let's say that.
yeah. Yeah, but I think, but overall, like I really enjoyed the scene, and I watched it like 4 times. I think because I was just so happy to actually get some material from this. I'd imagine we're yeah, like I imagine we're probably gonna get a new trailer shortly as well,
Hmm.
or well, which will probably be at least the
Sure.
final main trailer. We got 3 months to go, but I think that it's a good scene. I really enjoyed it, and I'm intrigued. We'll talk about it briefly in a second as to the general reception and how we feel like we're gonna be looking as the next couple months go by and up to release. Because it's obviously a very big movie for DC,
Mhm.
huge, probably the biggest movie that they've probably. When I say biggest, at least with all what's riding on it, probably with the most expectation in a
Mhm.
long time, probably since Batman v Superman at least. So yeah, but what was
We
your
know
thoughts
how
on the
that
scene?
turned out.
Exactly. But any other thoughts on the scene in general?
Um, I did like, yeah, the rotating fortress, but I did like the robots kind of as well, and that they have
Mm,
a bit of, I guess, a personality. And now I know what that shot is. So like, I was wondering about that shot in the trailer where he like kneels next to a robot, and that robot is a little bit banged up. I'm wondering if that's 12 because it feels like Gunn is like building up 12 to be like
mm.
the one we're supposed to care about.
Very
Um,
Guardian 3-esque.
yes,
Yeah.
right. There is a lovability about 12, like he looked at me or something. Like the excitement.
Mm,
So I like that. I'm up for that. Um,
yeah.
and then obviously the idea that like they have this contraption and they angle him towards the sun, they have this thing and everything to heal him. That's quite a nice touch as well, because it
Yeah.
makes sense that he has something like that just in case he does get hurt. Um, and yeah, I apart from the dog, and even like when you put it into a little bit more of a context with Krypto, that he is, I guess, a little bit more of a dog than
Mm,
because I thought Kryptonians are the smartest and like you know advanced civilization, but I guess hasn't reached the dogs yet. But putting that in context, maybe it is an early scene. I don't know. Maybe it is
mm,
well at the beginning of the movie. Um, so I kind of warm up to it. I might, uh,
mm,
and yeah, I'm still excited. I'm still like, raring to go.
mm.
Like yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna like because yeah, I like James Gunn's films. So yeah, I'm up for it.
I agree. I agree. I think my biggest question now is one, what the second trailer will look like, how people will respond to the second trailer. And I think my biggest question is as we get closer and closer to D-Day, that being the release day, is how it's going to perform,
Mm,
because this is a movie where how it performs is going to affect so much in terms of, I guess, the DCU as we know it. And that's my biggest question, how it's going to perform, and specifically what Warner Brothers, David Zaslav specifically, what his expectations are, what he sees as this is what this needs to do. Because,
Mhm.
I saw Grace Randolph on her stream the other day say that, she feels like this movie will probably bring in Man of Steel numbers, which was around the $700 million mark. And is that a success or not? Would that be seen as a success? I think that in DC's mind, they would not see that as a success. Or in Warner Brothers' minds, I think they would probably maybe see that as a disappointment. But then that makes me think, how could you potentially see that as a disappointment? Because, the Batman came out and made, I think it was like around the same amount, right? 700 something million worldwide. And Marvel movies, obviously, at least the best out of this multiverse saga, have been hitting around that same mark between your 7 to 8. And so I think if Superman did come out and do that, I can't see how that shouldn't be seen as still a success, given how comic book movie. If the Batman can only generate 700 something million worldwide, and I thought that was a fantastic movie, a franchise and an IP that is essentially being resurrected from how many people see, not from the dead, but from a place of a very low point. I think that that has to be looked at as a win. I've seen some people say it's gonna make $1 billion. I think that's tough. If it does, then
Yeah.
this movie's tremendous, right? But I mean,
Yes.
yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, I think it needs to do well, but I don't know if money should be the only like what's the word? Help uh
Object or measure.
measure. Yes, there we
Yeah.
go. Thank God you're here. If money should be the only measure of success, because like you obviously want people to talk about the film, you want them to praise it, and then to kind of have faith in DC again, and to believe that these projects can be entertaining, can be fun, can also be well, everything that Guardians was, or Guardians 3 was basically like sad, happy, blah, all these things. And you want people to go, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch the new DC film, and like really get behind it, get excited about it again.
Mm.
So I don't know, like if it makes 700 million or something, 800 million, which, as you say, is like an average amount, a normal amount for a film like that, so for a superhero film. But then everybody is talking about it. That would be a success, I would think.
Mm.
If it makes like 1 billion,
Mm.
and then nobody talks about it after a while, everyone's like, "Yeah, I went to watch it, but it's kind of forgettable. What else is out?" Um, then it kind of it lost out. I think that I wouldn't call that a success.
Yeah. I agree. I do agree. Damn, that's making me think. Now
I made
I can't
it.
wait for this second trailer. I think now we just need this second trailer, and I'll
Mm.
be very intrigued to see what the advanced ticket sales will be for Superman, assuming that they'll probably release around June, I'd imagine maybe. So we're still 3 months out from the movie, but yeah, any final thoughts on the sneak peek and Superman in general before we head off?
Um, no.
That was very Lex Luthorish of you.
We got him talking, right? He wasn't
We
talking in the
did.
trailer, so we got a little. He's back.
Yeah.
So I do want a little bit more. Hopefully, in the second trailer, we do get a little bit more of what Nicholas Hoult is doing
Yeah.
with his Lex, because I think the taste of Jesse Eisenberg is still in there. I don't think it's that. But yeah, I'm not sure, like with a gun and everything, if he's a little bit more going in the action route and like a
Mm.
little bit more gun-toting villain rather than like using his intellect and his money. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, I will say quickly off of that, final point from me. I think one thing you just brought up there, which is actually very important, is that the second trailer actually does need to tell us what this movie is about. Because as of right now, we have no idea what this movie is about. I've heard little reports, I've heard speculation about what the actual story is. as of right now, there is no clue as to what this movie is about. And so I think the second trailer definitely needs to make that apparent. Because I think that will add a lot of hopefully, potentially add a lot of depth to at least people's excitement for the movie and how they actually view what this movie is rather than what it could be, you know?
Yeah.
You know. But I guess that will do it for this episode of Our Two Pence. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, share, drop down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on this sneak peek and what your general thoughts and predictions are for Superman when it releases in July. Once again, my name is Cameron. They say sun is the best form of vitamin D, Kelly Smith. And I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil. Here comes the sun, Corwin.
Oh, that's right. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies, and we will see you not just next week, but in July for Superman, clearly. But once again, thank you very much for checking out our video today, guys, and we will see you very, very soon because Daredevil is next. Take care, guys.
Up and away!